Guten Tag, welcome to the off-topic podcast. We'll be talking about things that get off-topic. Today, the two people said, son of cow, why would you leave the door open? 1 second. Rebecca, can you shut the door? You opened it. You make sure you shut the door all the way. Thank you. It's not shut all the way. It's going to move with the air. Did you turn the air on while we trying to record? What is wrong with you?
She nodded her head no. I mean, Guten Tag.
Anyway, so I wanted to have a brief conversation about something. Destiny is going free to play, which is pretty cool, right? Like,
concern, because Fortnite's probably the most popular.
Well, they said that Fortnite makes a buttload of money, and they would like to make money, but they also just want to be able to make like a world that everyone gets to play in. So they're just going to go free to play, and then further DLCs will just be what you buy. But basically, you'll get everything up until, I want to say, Forsaken. Brief interlude. What do you think would be better, Ron's Burgers or Five Guys? Because I'm in a Five Guys mood.
Ron's, because then they have a Big Daddy, which is just a giant piece of, giant sandwich with even.
Yeah, but it's so greasy, and I'm so used to being healthy now. It messes me up.
I don't care.
Well, tell her I would prefer to have Five Guys, but I'll take a Big Daddy.
All right.
Sounds really sexual. Shout out to Ron's Burgers. Your burgers are huge.
I don't care. They almost had a big dick as their sandwich in McDonald's.
Yeah, because Mac and Dick McDonald.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a big dick with pickles.
Whatever happened? Why does Chick-fil-A put
pickles on everything?
You want a chicken sandwich? Okay, we'll put pickles on that. Why? That seems like such a
I would have
strange thing to put on it.
Yeah, I would have imagined sauce or cheese would be the initial automatic, but it's weird. But I want to talk about the fact that they're coinciding. So they have a new thing coming out, the Shadow Keep, where you go into the moon. Moon's haunted. Meme has been worn out on the Destiny subreddit. Basically, it's nightmare versions of everything from your past, and potentially a sign that the darkness is actually being revealed. Which, fun fact, the darkness had a much more obvious and concrete role in the first Destiny, and then they've been working on it for years. They showed it to the board of directors, like, no, we hate this, it's too generic, change the whole game. So a year before the game release, they redid the entire campaign, which is why it was so sort of and that's Activision for you.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of the lore is sort of bizarre in the first one, and then they fixed it with the Taken King.
Yeah, Destiny has such an interesting world, but you can't say we take a lot of inspiration from D&D and sci-fi.
Okay.
And
before you say anything, so I actually wrote a thing about how if I was going to make a movie, I would actually make 2 movies set during Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. And it would have basically you follow the Pirates of the Caribbean thing. You make a cool world and over-the-top characters that immediately, if you said, oh, someone does something mischievous, that's Jack Sparrow. They're caricatures.
Okay.
So the Titan would be a big, dumb, loud, but likable person. I was thinking a Jason Momoa would be a good person for that. Or who was the other one I had there? I had a cast of people that I thought would be a solid fit for it. And then you have a hunter who would be Janika Ivanka or something like that. Someone who's sassy and confident and capable.
Don't look.
And then you get someone like Brian Deckhart or the guy who plays Huey, Dennis Quaid's son from The Boys. And he's the guy who just got revived and has no idea what's going on. And he's sort of the eyes you witness the world through. And it's hey, we have to do this thing. We're going to go take down this Taken Knight because he killed our 3rd member of our fire team. And you get to explore the world. You don't do the main story. You do an adjacent story. And that way, they all exist simultaneously. Pokemon, the game, the card game, and the animated series. You can just one of those and have a conversation with someone who only likes one of the other things and another person who only watches the other thing. And you will all fully understand what you're all talking about. That's the way it should work. Because they're making books of lore that are officially published. So if you're making a movie, it should play nicely. So I say it should be the trailer for Destiny 2 where it's Cage is you like puppies, they're gone. The Grand Canyon, destroyed. Okay, they didn't change that much. And he's this is all gone. It's we have to go fight this guy, because he's ruined our world. And it's all very sort of almost Edgar Wright style and tongue-in-cheek. It's directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts, the guy who did Kong Skull Island.
Yeah.
He directed that trailer. It's beautiful. It was the first time I saw a trailer, and then I played a game. I was oh my god, I saw this. He did a perfect one-for-one recreation. So the thing is, you get these characters who's you got the sassy, confident one, the guy who doesn't know anything about the world and is inexperienced, but in the climax figures out his powers, triggers a super for the first time, flies around making lightning or whatever super you give him. And you got the big dumb Titan who's like, he's a big silly fella, but you like him. Oh, Joe Manganiello was the one I thought would be him, or I had like 3 people that I said would be good for each role, depending on how. And they go do a thing, and it's just, this is the world, this is fun, and it's got a soundtrack with like Beastie Boys and Queen, like how the trailers have been.
Yeah.
And it would be sort of a tongue-in-cheek, like, wait, what do you mean I get revived? Like, your ghost, he revives you. What do you mean? He just shoots him with a shotgun and he drops dead. It's like, oh my god. And then they get back up. It's like, you didn't have to shoot him. It's like, well, now he knows he gets revived.
He get back up. He just like holographically appears.
Like the body would just disintegrate, and he would like, oh my god, what did you just do? It's like, I proved that you respawn, or like, you get revived by your ghost. So you make tongue-in-cheek jokes like, hey, why does no one have any facial hair? Because you can't put facial hair on your guardians in the game.
Yeah.
And that bugs me. Like, you make jokes about things like, hey, did you catch that Crucible game last night?
Look, I would
yeah,
love
it was
like
crazy.
Or something, like the whole like dodecahedron thing falls out of it, and it's just like, what is that? That's a gun. No, it's not. It's like, trust me, you give it to a guy, he can make a gun out of this.
But it is the simplest thing. A lot of franchises, like video games, are better adapted into a TV show because it's a multi-hour story. But first-person shooters, you can only do shooting for so long.
Go live, die, repeat style.
In what way? Get Tom Cruise?
Like, guys constantly living the same day over and over, but instead it's like
just
he's dying
just doing
over
a hard
over.
raid.
He's doing.
You ever think about the psychology of a world where one of their highest watched sports is they're superheroes essentially that never die, constantly murdering each other for fun? It's pretty dark.
It's pretty grim.
But I mean, yeah, there's a lot in that world that's pretty crazy. But I mean, it's a world with like time travel, worm gods, ascendant planes. There's a lot of like intense lore. Yeah. So if you just Guardians of the Galaxy your way through it.
What was it? Who was the guy who sang the theme for it that wasn't good? Paul McCartney?
Yeah. It was a bad song. But anyway, the franchise has a lot to offer. It's super fun. And with Google Stadia coming out, which is a big thing, it's releasing at the same time, and when Stadia comes out, Destiny will be free to play, and it's bundled. It's not just going to give you the basic Destiny pack, it's going to give you all of the DLC, even the stuff you wouldn't get if you just had it, which means that I could run into you at lunch, we could pull out our laptops and start playing Destiny together while we eat lunch on our laptops in a Chrome tab, like you're watching a YouTube video.
I mean, that's Destiny's one of those things of like, I really want to get in this, but every time I play it, I'm like, this seems like a first-person shooter where the level design is like, it's limited.
Destiny 2 has really stepped up, and a lot of the DLCs.
I've played Destiny 2.
I'm saying a lot of the DLC locales, especially Forsaken, there's a level design where you're fighting through a bunch of like moving like subways essentially, and so as you're fighting, it's got all these multiple layers. You can duck underneath them, you can push people into the subways, you're flying like this explosive motorcycle essentially through like weaving traffic of these things, and you're hunting people who killed one of the best characters video games has ever had.
Here's the thing. I think I figured out why I can't get into Destiny.
You're bad at first-person shooters?
No, I'm good at that.
You're dead inside.
No.
You don't like Peter Dinklage or Nolan North.
How dare you? It's the feedback loop.
Okay.
Fallout 4 has a really good one in the fact that you go out, you kill things, then you loot the things you kill, then you build better things with that, and you use those better things to kill more things, and you just keep repeating, getting better and better. And you gain perks along the way, which unlock new things to do. The feedback loop for Destiny is you kill things so you can get engrams, you get those engrams turned into weapons and armor, which then you can use to help kill more things.
They actually...
Very similar.
They fixed a little bit of that, because the Activision wanted them to drip feed you content so you would pay for it, and they also didn't want them to waste too much time making the worlds too flush with content, because you should be saving that content for the next game you release in a year.
Yeah,
which now they're like, originally they're like, we want this game to last for like 5 years, and then we'll make another one just because eventually we're going to need an engine that can handle more.
Yeah, which
they may be switching to, or they may decide we're going to launch Destiny 3 and that'll be our, clearly from the get-go, this is what we've always wanted it to be. I don't know what direction they're going to go.
But the problem I have with Destiny is the fact that, like, while you're doing all that, there are other people walking around that already have that cool stuff, so you're working your butt off to be equal to the guy who's like an a-hole and not even doing anything on the mission.
Well, generally on like the campaign missions, and if you're just going around doing side quests, they do a pretty good job if it's either just you or if it's someone that you have in your team that's going with you. Me and Sam started replaying Destiny 1, and it's pretty similar there in that you show up and you just have this experience of like you walk into it and maybe there's like 5 guys in like shiny armor around you, but they're not going down that path. And as soon as you walk in, they do this visual effect where to the outside people you fizzle away like a hologram, like a ghost does when you revive someone. But what you see is everyone else disappears as you guys walk in. Plus it's a first-person shooter, so unless you're looking back, you don't really see it and you don't think about it. And you go about your mission, and the ghost is like, here's information. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Yeah. And I found, because I really like having cool gear, and it's hard to find it, Gambit, which, by the way, if you're an Xbox player or a PC player, it's basically the only way you can get Yuri Lowenthal's voice when Spider-Man PS4 came, because he's Spider-Man and the Drifter. He's like, all right, Gambit. And I like cooperative play. Like Halo, my favorite thing to do is Warzone, because you're cooperatively playing with other players. And this is a cooperative thing where it's 2 teams of like 4 or 6 or something like that. And you're trying to kill bad guys, and they drop a thing. You pick those up, and you deposit them in this bank. And if you deposit 5, 10, or 15, it drops a bigger and badder bad guy on the other side. And it gives you really cool gear.
You know what? I think I figured out one change that Destiny 2 could do. Base game right now, they could do that would make it where I'm in. And that is exploration. Have it be where there are areas that, like, instead of just being like level design buildings and stuff, and it's like clearly designed levels, make it more of an open world where it's like jungle and stuff, that you go into this wilderness that's all overgrown, because then you're going into the unknown, getting cool stuff and running back.
They do actually have something called lost sectors, which aren't marked anywhere. I mean, you can see like a rock or something, they have a symbol for the lost sector, and sometimes I think for them to even show up on the map, you have to go past them at first. And it's not clear. They blend in really easily unless you know what you're looking for. And they have like this whole almost like mini mission where you go through. There's no voice over anything, but you just go through, and sometimes your ghost will comment, and you hunt down all these people, and at the end you fight a boss, and then he drops a key which lets you unlock a chest, which will give you a like high tier thing. And it's like this, it's called a lost sector because it is difficult to traverse. They're all unique, and they have very unique drops as well. So they have that going for them.
And I know it's not just like an online thing, because I freaking love Sea of Thieves.
You know what they should... Sea of Thieves is amazing. You know what if they did, I think it would rapidly grow everything, is if they had a ship or an apartment that you customized.
Yeah.
If they had a ship that was like, this is your home, or an apartment that this was your home, and when you were grinding for things, you could like, hey, I got all this gear and all these Ingrams, but if I turn them all in, I can instead get this in-game currency that I can spend at a brand new vendor, and I can get a new couch, or a new TV, or sort like a pet.
Guardians of the Galaxy style, where like you choose the music that's playing inside, sort of his ship that he had.
Yeah, like you do that to either your ship or an apartment in like the tower, or maybe you can say like, yeah, I have like GTA does this really well, where you can have an apartment here or a garage there. So what if you're like, I have a really nice apartment at the tower, but I also want like a forward operating base on Nessus.
Yeah.
So I have like more of a log cabin over there, hidden away.
Yeah, which I watched something.
And then you could bring other people into it and show off, like, you could have special things for completing DLCs and missions. Like, look, see that's the horn of this bad guy I killed, because I'm cool. I did that raid.
I know there's, like, a boss fight where, like, after you beat the guy, you pick up, like, his sword, and you have to fight off waves with that sword.
Yeah, that's from the initial Destiny campaign.
Yeah. Imagine if after that, you hung the sword over the wall.
Yeah, stuff like that would be... I think it would add a lot more, because I was thinking about that. If you had a story about these, like, characters, I was imagining Destiny as adapted into a medium that's not a video game.
I would actually make it, dude, to keep the social element, what if you had like
a dating sim,
a guild keep?
Oh, that would be cool.
You and your friends essentially have keep, and you all have like your own individual sectors. The more people you have, the more sectors essentially put on there, but you all can sort of customize their sector.
So not because there are there's Hunter, Warlock, and Titan, but within that there's also the Dead Orbit Society, which is not the same as the Flat Earth Society, and Future War Cult, and boy, I can't remember the other one. But there's like different groups you can join, and then there's also the Drifter, who's like, hey, you can either assign with the Vanguard, who only used the light, but they also, when one of the Vanguard died, didn't avenge it because, I mean, from the perspective of a leadership role, one of your members dies, you can't spend more soldiers to go avenge that person. You have to protect the last city on Earth that's safe. But it also sucks because I was everyone's friend, and from the point of view of the campaign, he's like your best buddy. So the Drifter's like, all right, learn how to use a little darkness. Go ahead, fight him. It's all right. That's what Cade would have wanted anyway. And he does all that. And it's like, it got to the point, I knew it was done well because online, people were legitimately arguing over morally what was the right route to take. Like, hey, Cade would have wanted to live dangerously. Yeah, he never wanted to be on the Vanguard. Yeah, but he also said it was the best bet he ever lost, and those were his best friends he made, even though he didn't act like they were. And it made people care about these characters like the way that people argue online about politics.
I mean...
But instead of hating each other, they were just like, no, you're wrong, you don't see this part. Look, I'll show you, you're so close to the truth.
Because they were all... like what's best for a friend they've lost.
Yeah, and it was like you were talking about what that person would have wanted, and it became a really good conversation piece.
Yeah.
So they have
Which
factions
I'm sure
like
the
that.
writers were just like,
but there's also,
good.
oh yeah, they were absolutely patting themselves on the back. But there's also, you can join like a clan, which you get bonuses to. So are you talking about like your clan would have a place? Or you're talking like future war cult,
I'm saying
Vanguard.
A player. Essentially, like you're saying, the apartment. You have the apartment, but then your friend could say, "I want an apartment that's sort of next door, like a neighbor."
So like those toys you used to get in the 90s and early 2000s where you have like a little stick figure inside of a box and you can stick the boxes together and then they can move her out. It's like building that was a weird concept. It was like Tamagotchi times 2.
Yeah, which to be fair had Tamagotchi implemented where you could like...
I have a Tamagotchi keychain. We all have Tamagotchi keychains. Turns out as an adult, I don't have time to feed a fictional baby.
If they were Pokemon on like a app or something like that, then that might be a bit more... Dude, Nintendogs should just be like a freaking...
Like a Pokemon Go app?
Yeah.
I'm going to go catch a Labrador Retriever over in Area 51.
It should be like on your phone.
Oh, yeah, no, they should just adapt it.
Because imagine like, oh, I'm on my phone. Because
The
that was a great
3DS
graphic.
it wasn't even 3DS, it was just DS graphics.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think that they have a lot to build off of, and now they don't have Activision constraining them to just be like a Call of Duty in space. They can dive deeper into it, and they can change gameplay a lot more. And I think that their partnership with Google Stadia, which is something that I'm super stoked for, because think about it. If you keep a controller with you, like just you throw it in your bag, and you can use a PlayStation controller or an Xbox controller if they have the right type of Bluetooth, and they do.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to buy anything. You can just sit there, open up a Chrome tab, and start playing a video game on your laptop. And yeah, maybe it'll only be like 360p because you have a bad internet connection, but it'll be smooth 60 frames per second. And every year it'll get better and better because the infrastructure of the internet is only going to get stronger. Like within Phil Spencer of Xbox, who's part of the xCloud, which is the Xbox streaming thing they're working on, says that, hey, in like 2 years, maybe this will be great, but it's going to take at minimum 2 to 3 years for streaming to be like as mainstream as consoles. So when you get in, it'll be ground floor. It might even be rocky, but it won't take 8 years to get there. But it is going to take time for people to be comfortable with that and with the infrastructure. And I think the idea of getting to be like, I've wanted to play video games. Like when I was on my honeymoon, I didn't bring my Xbox because I'm not weird.
You brought your Switch.
I brought your Switch, which by the way, I'm sorry, I totally forgot to bring it with me when I came back. So I'll have to bring that back to you again. I finally started getting to play The Legend of the new Breath of the Wild while I was on the flight. I wanted to play Team Sonic Racing and crush Rachel, but every time I went to the bedroom to go play it, she distracted me with like a Scrabble or whatever. Hi, you thought I was going to say something else. By the way, walking around the lodge just in my underwear, I got tan lines of my underwear. Yeah. How about that? Anyway. But yeah, so there was moments where I was like, man, I'd love to play Battlefront 2, because I get an itch and I want to like walk in. Something about being Darth Vader and just pimp slapping the stupid out of a bunch of people, because you can just use like Vader's might and you're angry and it gives you bigger health and it's a lot of cool things. I was like, I can't play that because I didn't bring that. But if I just brought a controller instead of the Switch and the dock, if I just had a controller, I would have had access to everything. The only thing that I would have gotten in the way of that is you're in the mountains, so there's no internet, essentially. It's drip feed. It's real bad.
Yeah, that's the point.
But I'm not going to live in the mountains, Daniel. I'm either going to live here or maybe I'll move back to New York where we visited because the weather was way better and her allergies were totally fine. And I literally have made a heat map, or I'm working on it, of allergens throughout the United States, job openings based on my field and Rachel's field, and internet speeds and cell coverage by T-Mobile, since that's what we have. And the hottest spots are my top picks for where we should live whenever we're like, this is where we are.
Yeah, which if T-Mobile wants to give us any sort of money, we will...
By the way, shout out to T-Mobile. They had a deal with Delta flights where I got 1 hour free Wi-Fi in every flight I was in because I was a T-Mobile user.
Yeah. T-Mobile's awesome.
It really is.
I'm gonna sponsor them even whether they pay us or not because they're.
If they were like, if there was just a T-Mobile T-shirt I could have, I would wear it because they legitimately are great, and they have great veteran deals. They pay for my Netflix.
Yeah, and also like they're just this is a side thing, but like their on-hold music is good.
Yeah, no, they had like Modest Mouse playing for their hold music. I'm like, this is in my actual playlist of songs I intentionally listen to.
New clothes from
and their chat is literally you can just go on their website and you can just text chat. Like you don't have to make any voice contact. And then if you have the app on your phone, which you do when you're a user, they're like, what's your account? Okay, and you can open your app and it'll have all of the chat there and you can follow in from the app.
Yeah.
That's how I became a T-Mobile user. I was in the mall. I was like, hey, how much would it cost for me and my fiance at the time to get on a phone plan together? And they're like, this much, blah, 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 congratulations. And then the guy was like, hey, just so you know, I'm also recently married too. These are the things I learned. I really wish you guys the best. And it was wildly polite.
Yeah.
This has been an unexpected T-Mobile sponsored segment that isn't sponsored.
If T-Mobile and Chick-fil-A work together, the customer service would just be out the roof.
They'd be so polite. By the way, you know the Chick-fil-A over by Target and Lowe's that's right next to the Arby's and McDonald's?
Yeah.
It's always super full.
Yeah.
No one's there. They're ripping up the ground, I guess, to better fix some of the drive-thru areas. So all of those crazy Karen soccer moms are like, I can't get my waffle fries. How am I going to stop traffic? Because they'll just violently block all of traffic. Like, I'm next.
Oh.
Like, Jesus would not want you to have blocked traffic so you can get your Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yeah.
Even though it is delicious. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Coming to a home near you.
I actually pitched this to Mom and Dad, and they were pretty on dope. Bass Pro Shop should buy Cracker Barrel and fix their design process.
Did you know that Bass Pro Shop has competitors?
What?
I don't remember their names, but we were driving through upstate New York, and Rachel was like, yeah, this is actually one of their competitors. They lost horribly.
Really?
And now they're basically just in, like, northern, like, upstate New York, I guess, or just New York. There's also a lot of stores specific just to New York that we explored. A place called Wegmans, which is, like, a super Reese's. And Tim Hortons Coffee, which she claims is better than Dunkin' Donuts, which I say is the king of coffee. So I'm going to have to do a little taste comparison there. I will say their coffee, I was tasting some, I put a little chocolate syrup in it. It literally tastes like candy. It was so good.
Also, we're probably going to end the podcast pretty soon. And we're going to have to start a new one because I have a pin in a conversation that you said you wanted me to pull out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And...
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story that's going to be.
To send off the Battlefront 2 novel. It's pretty good. I recommend it.
Yeah, it's like a reverse Rogue One where the Empire's at its weakest and they're facing Saw Gerrera's extremists.
Yeah, you're like, wow, the rebels are getting desperate and they're just being terrorists. They're killing children and stuff. And you're like, going. And there's a moment where you're just like, oh, like, I kind of side with the Empire now.
There's also Halo novels that I'm about to start. I'm about to start one with a Spartan Buck when he returns back to his team from ODST. And there's actually been a betrayal within the team. And they're sort of sore at him for leaving them to become Spartans. So I'm a fan of most things Halo.
Yeah, also,
keep you updated on
the show The Good Place. They're apparently filming their last season.
Oh.
And it's pretty good. People described it as a sitcom. It's like natural evolution. There's no laugh tracks. It's just good writing and sort of moral dilemmas, but they're now dealing with college grade moral dilemmas. Treating the audience like they're intelligent.
Rebecca, what would you suggest? I suggest Finn Wolfhard. He's the best. He's gonna have my babies. I love Stranger Things. Thanks, Becca.
No.